I don't know about you, it takes a lot to shock me these days, but to see our judicial system resemble a third world banana republic, to see trusted American companies embrace insane and destructive woke ideologies is frankly depressing. We must fight back, and that starts with changing the way that we spend our money. For years, big mobile companies have been dumping millions into leftist causes, and we've had to take it because another option didn't exist. Well, it does now. Patriot Mobile, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, offers dependable nationwide coverage on all the major networks, so you get the best possible service in your area without the woke propaganda pushed by leftists working hard to destroy this country. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you support free speech and religious freedom, the sanctity of life, Second Amendment, and our military, veterans, and first responder heroes. Their 100% U.S.-based customer service team makes switching easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/America right now. Get free activation today with offer code AMERICA. Ask about their coverage guarantee while you're there. patriotmobile.com/America. Again, that's patriotmobile.com/America.
Tonight in Arkansas, there's a mother tucking in her daughter and turning off the light. A business owner is burning the midnight oil. An at-home dinner date is plating up possibility. And it's all happening under one roof. How? The power of a conversation, like the one John from Integrity Solutions had with First Horizon Bank about his vision for a sustainable mixed-use building. Now it's not just words, it's life. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/John. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.
Hey, it's Jim Chapman reminding you that if you have not heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. 1, it's free. 2, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. 3, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's really everything you need to make a podcast in only one place. It makes it easy, folks. So do me a favor, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. James Adam McCants, how are you, sir?
Better than I deserve, my friend.
I'm trying to see you through this microphone over here.
I'm trying to block you over here.
Well, look, we got bald heads. They probably reflect somewhere,
that's right,
so that's all
right.
Good. Thanks for joining me today. For all of you listeners out there and people watching this on video, as you know, here on Chapman's Paint Place podcast, what we try to do is cover the construction industry and things that relate to the construction industry. When I started this podcast, my vision was to have nothing but painters, because obviously that's my expertise. However, along the line, I had a lot of people asking me to discuss more topics that were not necessarily related to painters specifically.
Sure.
So one of the things I definitely wanted to cover with a company that's been around as long as you guys have in Denham Springs is promotional goods. That's what you guys specialize in, along with school uniforms and things like that.
Sure.
that book sacks. I went and got one yesterday from SportNCenter's. So I definitely felt it was worth the discussion because, especially in the construction industry, that is a big deal. Promotional advertising, promotional goods, ways to market yourself, I find very valuable because the construction industry in particular is very, very competitive.
Absolutely.
So before we get into all that, and I want to know a lot about you and kind of how you came up in the industry, how you ended up at SportNCenter's.
Sure.
But before we go into all that, I do want to take a second and I want to mention this right here. Today, we're going to give a lucky listener or a lucky viewer 2 tickets to the Chase Tyler Band performance that is going to be it's going to be in conjunction with the Real Life Real Crime River Bash that they're having. And I'm gonna flip this around so I can actually make sure I don't miss anything. But they're friends of the Chapman Paint Place podcast, and they are actually having a River Bash. This is going to be the 18th, I believe it's the 18th of 18th of April of this year, obviously. It's going to be the Heed My Warning Tour. And just tell you a little bit about it, from 2 to 6, they're going to be at the Prop Stop. That's going to be free admission. But At 6 o'clock, you're going to head over to 10 Lizzie's, where you're going to have a VIP meet and greet with Woody Overton. And then from 6 to 8, of course, the icing on the cake is going to be the Chase Tyler Band. Man, they are coming around. Have you heard them, James?
Yeah, I have. I've seen them on a couple occasions.
Yeah, so they're awesome, very, very popular, and they're homegrown right here in Livingston Parish.
He's having a hot year as well. He's been on all kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Plugs on all kind of stuff. I think he sang national anthem at one of the last Saints games. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. The last week of the Saints.
Yeah, awesome.
Been seeing his name around a lot of places. Seems like he's doing really well right now.
Awesome. Well, you're going to get some pasta with your entry and get to enjoy all that. It's going to be compliments of the Chapman's Paint Place podcast. And what I'm going to do, and what you need to do to win, go to Chapman's Paint Place podcast Facebook page, and you want to like the page. Okay. Then you're going to comment underneath this podcast, which will be uploaded to my page with a specific hashtag that I'm going to give you at the end of this broadcast. I'm going to give you a hashtag that you have to put in the comments. Also, you need to share the post. So share the post, like the page, and comment with that hashtag, and you're automatically eligible. I'm going to do a little quick Facebook Live where I actually draw the name out of all the names that commented and did all the little things I just told you to do. So,
and I'm invited to that event as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, absolutely. I don't
Yes.
be left out on anything here.
Yes, and you may have heard a voice that you're not seeing on camera right now. That is McHugh David, the publisher of the Livingston Parish News, and we thank him very much for using his awesome state-of-the-art podcast facility here. Nice booth that you see every day on the Livingston Parish News. And so we're going to interject him a little bit, primarily because we don't have hair and he does, which means his brain must be still growing. Right, James?
Sure.
I don't have much more than you.
I'm praying that my brain's not stopped growing.
Yes. So anyway, now we're going to get into a little bit about you, but look forward to getting that hashtag at the end of this episode. So how did you get your start in promotional goods?
Well, how did I get my start in promotional goods, or how did I get my start into SportNCenter's?
I guess start at SportNCenter and work your way up.
Okay, my father-in-law actually is the owner of SportNCenter. That's Stacy Phipps. He married my mother-in-law in 2007, and of course, since my wife and I have been dating, they've been in a relationship, and I've always looked at him as my father-in-law and like a true family member. And when Black Friday came every year, my wife and my mother-in-law would go do their all-night shopping spree. Meanwhile, he and I would go find a place to either belly up somewhere or just hang out, and we just have a good time. We have a lot of things in common, listen to music, just basically hang out, And one particular Black Friday, we were sitting around and we were talking about, when we were younger, what we aspired to be, where we were going to be when we were 30 years old, 35 years old, whatever. And he was going to be a Major League Baseball player, probably middle infield for the St. Louis Cardinals. And of course, I was going to be probably on the road touring somewhere with my band.
Sure.
The next biggest thing that ever happened, right? And unfortunately, those dreams were very much further down the pipe than we would ever reach. So he ended up actually playing a walk-on season at Southeastern, giving up the college deal because it wasn't for him. And his dad pretty much put him to work by purchasing SportNCenter from a entrepreneur in Denham Springs at the time, back in 1977, named Reuben Spillman. Mm-hmm. And at that time, that Black Friday, that is, I was actually doing construction, dirt work, landscaping, had a partner in a business, and that was kind of rocky for several reasons. And I said, that's one thing my parents always provided for us, and they loved us and all the great things that he did for us, but it was definitely something I admired of his father, in the fact that he'd left him this business, this legacy to carry on with. And I always really thought that was really cool. Well, fast forward about a year after that, and I was really, the housing market was crumbling around here. It was 2007, 7. Business was rocky as all get out. He calls me up out of the blue and says, look, Dad's partner is ready to 100% retire. And I've got a choice if I'm going to purchase the business, purchase his portion, or if we want to sell it. We've got a couple people who are interested in buying it. The thing is, he had no biological children. The only children that he had was his 2 stepdaughters, my wife and my sister-in-law. And then, of course, me, my brother-in-law, at the time, 1 grandchild. He said, last Black Friday, you'd mentioned something to me about how interested or how envious you were that Zeke, which is his father, left the business for me.
Yeah.
And was carrying on this legacy. If I keep the business, are you interested in carrying it on? No hesitation, no, let me think about it, let me pray on it. Yes, I am. When do I start? And he was kind of like, just come by the store sometime later today and let's sit down and talk about it. So I showed up and he's like, well, what do you think we can do? I was like, I'm in. I'm working here. So that's where it kind of all
that's awesome.
Transpired. And once I got into the store, it became blaringly apparent that I know very little about sports. Never really playing sports other than, your neighborhood game of basketball 3-on-3 or horse or, a baseball game where there's only 5 on each side or whatever. I'm just not, closest thing to any athletics I've ever been involved in was track.
Right.
And I didn't really, even though I enjoyed working there and enjoyed doing it, it just wasn't fulfilling to me.
Now, not to interrupt you, but back in those days, did you still sell guns, or was that
we did not?
To?
We did not. We haven't sold guns not since I've been there, and I think it was maybe even like the early to mid '80s.
A lot of people didn't realize that Sport & Center actually used to sell, guns and all that.
We're still on mailing lists. On occasion, we'll get a new stack of Remington catalogs or something like that, but we haven't sold firearms in years.
Yeah, they have a great history. Now, they started in 1977?
1977.
Wow. So it's, what is that, 30 years or?
42 years.
42 years. Okay.
Been around longer than I've been around.
Yeah. Well, not quite as long as me, but I was a young buck back in 77. Sure. I still had hair back then, which is amazing. And how many years, fast forwarding a little bit to today, how many years have you been at Sports Center now?
Since 2007. So come July of this year, I'll be there for 13 years.
13 years.
13 years.
That's a little bit of a history there. So what I like about Sport & Center, and I use them on a lot of stuff, both personally and with Farrell Calhoun and with Chapman's Paint Place podcast, is the experience that Stacy as well as James bring. Combined, Stacy, how long has he been?
Since 1977.
Wow. I mean, that's huge.
The store started, it was Ruben Spillman that started it, and I don't think he owned it for a full year before Stacy's father, Zeke Phipps, and Pee Wee Day purchased it.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Now, from a perspective of who professionally, who would you say influenced you the most? And it doesn't have to necessarily be, Bo Jackson or something like that since you're in Sporting Goods, but just as a person, who would you say has been the biggest influence on you professionally?
It's really tough to say, Jim, because I go through different seasons where I'll pick up somebody almost as a mentor type person, and they'll influence this portion. They'll almost help me get over this stumbling block.
Yeah.
And not to say that, I got with them what I needed and I move on, but I'm the way that my brain works, like we were talking with the ADD earlier, I can't focus on anything for an incredible amount of time. But, there's been a lot of people who have influenced me, and I would have to say on the longer term, definitely my dad. I learned my work ethic from my dad. I never I tell people all the time, when I was growing up, I never saw a repairman come to the house because we had an in-house repairman and he had 2 really bad employees, me and my brother.
I love it.
His work ethic, that's probably where I got that from. And, I gain a lot from Stacy himself, his resilience, his ability to bounce back after, I've only been in the business for 13 years, but he's been in it for 43 years. The 13 years that I've been there, the entire industry has literally been turned on its side 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine the entire tally of times that the business has changed to the extent that I've seen just in the 13 years, over 43 years. And the fact that a small business is still there shows an incredible amount of resilience. So I'd have to say I definitely get a lot of inspiration or give a lot of credit to that.
And it really does. I agree with you 100%. And I think very similar to you there. I could never tie myself to one influencing figure in my life, especially professionally, because I try to take a little bit from everybody. Most people that know me, I make that comment that I'm like a sponge. I try to soak up as much good information as I can from as many different people as I can.
Absolutely.
I've found out over the years that even people that maybe lack in a lot of ways professionally, you can always learn something from. So I get that 100%. Also, I want to know a little bit about, to your point of the industry actually changing so many times over the years. Tell me about the industry. What is the promotional good business now at its best point, or have you seen a little bit of a decline and it's kind of up and down? What would you say?
Right now is probably the most relevant time to ask that question due to the major headlines of what's going on and the major talk of what's going on, and the predominantly the majority of the products that are manufactured for the promotional products industry is out of Asia. Yeah. So it's got a big question mark, honestly, as far as how everything is going to transpire. I mean, think of it this way. If you go to Walmart right now and you're looking for hand sanitizer, that's a pretty hard thing to find right now.
I would say.
This time last year, hand sanitizer was one of the most popular promo items because you get into sickness season, allergy season, you get into a lot of trade shows. So it's an easy giveaway that you're shaking a lot of hands, you're talking to a lot of people. Man, a nice little 3-ounce bottle of hand sanitizer. Well, we're in the same condition that Walmart's in right now. You can't find a bottle of hand sanitizer to slap a label onto. That's right. That's just one of many things.
And that's a great point. And you know what else? And we'll take hand sanitizer because we're going to dig deep into this. But hand sanitizer is something you don't throw away. You get that at a trade show, it's not going in the trash when you get home.
That's right.
That is going in somebody's hand, then it's going in their car, right. And then they're looking at it until they run out of it, then they throw the bottle away. But it's something that you keep. It's not promotional good junk, I guess you could say, which is very important in your business. When I try to think of promotional goods and what I want to buy in the construction industry and the paint industry in particular, I try to think of items that people are not going to throw away.
That's right.
And so hand sanitizer, good point, but also a good point that they're out of it now. It's a good thing toilet paper is not a promotional good.
There is promotional toilet paper.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. There's got to be. There absolutely has to be.
Well, you've heard of word of the day toilet paper.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I did a little research for this podcast. I'm not a total amateur. So in researching for this podcast, I came across something pretty interesting I wanted to kind of go over with you, and I wanted to see if you agree or disagree with this stuff. So I'll give you this one. Your clients don't remember what you gave them last Christmas. Gifts that are personalized with your name, logo, or message will establish your identity. And then underneath that, it says 85% of people who receive promotional products remember the advertiser. I would agree with that. I'm sure you would too.
Sure.
And one thing with promotional advertising in the construction industry, which I like to tie everything into, is the competitive nature of that. So how would you suggest if someone came to you and they said, look, man, I'm having trouble getting my name out there. I'm a painter. There's a painter on every street corner, not good painters, but there are painters on every street corner, and I need something to separate me. What would be your advice to them? Some items that you would recommend as a promotional good that may bring them some business or at least get them some notoriety.
The thing about it is, Jim, when any client comes to me and wants to talk to me about how can I get good advertising? How can the best bang for my buck? There is no, this is the greatest item on earth, and this is good for a painter. This is good for a plumber. This is good for little Johnny's mama that sells jam out of, on Saturdays.
Yeah.
I really want to sit down with someone and talk to them. What are you looking for? More business. Okay, that's great. What kind of business? What does separate you from Joe Schmo down the street that is painting as well? What is your best type of client? What are you really looking for? Then I would dig into what type of events that they do or what kind of networks they're in. May it be like a BNI or a Chamber of Commerce, or maybe it's just their church. That's the only network they may be in. Okay, what kind of events they have coming up? Then I would pair them with a specific item to make sure that we're targeting that.
So you'll actually consult with them.
That's more than anything. Anybody can sell tchotchkes, man.
Yeah.
I want to sit down and talk with someone and get realistic ways to help market their business.
And that's, to me, that's what I call a classic separator. So, and we'll use Sport&Center as an example, that not every company will necessarily do that. Or if they do, there's going to be a charge for that. There's going to be a consultant fee thrown along there somewhere. I can't tell you how many times I've sat down with this guy and we've talked about innovative ways in order to get my name out there, my company's name out there, and also innovative tools in order to do that in the way of promotional goods. So that's something I appreciate you guys offer. Now, as far as say logo creation. So if someone sat down and they said, look, man, I got a paint company, but my logo is a paintbrush, and it's one that I downloaded off the internet for free. And that's what I use. And you see an issue with that and they really want you to kind of put some thought behind helping them with that. Are you willing to do that?
Well, I'm willing to help anybody, certainly. And then there's some people that have found things online that would work very well, maybe just a little bit of tweaking here and there. And there's some people that find something online. It's like, dude, you found that on a very simple Google search, and I've seen 19 other people in your industry use this. We do have, to an extent, some graphic design services at Sport&Center, but I like to tell people all the time that we're more of facilitative design than we are creative design. Meaning, if you want a full media kit with, total creation of a logo and just piece every single thing together, you may be better suited finding a graphic designer that you could match up with. They can get all that taken care of, and I can even help you find one, or there's multiple ones in this area that we work together with that you really want to get that done there, and then we can come back and work forward, because graphic design work is almost an industry within itself. In fact, It really is an industry within itself, and we just don't have the resources to cook up our own home recipe as far as a logo for someone, quite like somebody who's a designated graphic designer.
So how important do you think it is for someone to have a good looking logo and a nice tagline? I mean, how important do you think that is in business?
The lifeline of a business is a logo and a tagline. Plain and simple.
Agreed. 100%. I believe that visual marketing, from the standpoint of seeing a nice logo, having a catchy tagline, I think it's everything. Sport&Center's tagline is
Your business means everything to us because your name rides on everything we do.
One of the best taglines that I know of. Farrell Calhoun has one that a lot of people can finish for me, which is the best paint money can buy since 1905. With Chapman's Paint Place podcast, my first tagline was good old-fashioned advice for the new generation of painter. And the reason I came up for that after a lot of thought was I saw older painters getting out of the industry, and they didn't have anyone to pass along these painting techniques that only old painters know. Okay. So the new generation of painter had no idea, short of spraying a wall, they had no idea of these paint hacks, as we call them in the business, or things they can do that really work, in the painting world. And so I wanted to give that old-fashioned advice to that new generation, and that's where I came up with that. Since my podcast has kind of morphed on its own to where I'm doing all kinds of different things with all kinds of different people, I've come to a point where I've really had probably really need to rethink that. But James out of McCants has been very I can't explain the source he's been for me as far as bouncing ideas off of. This is a guy that deals in the promotional world on a daily basis with 6 million trillion different people. I'm sure I'm exaggerating by one or two, but he deals with a lot of people on a daily basis, and so that brings something to the table with him that I really rely on and respect. So thank you for that. Let me ask you, what effect would you say the rise of online specific companies? So you can go online and there's specific websites that you can go to and you can order pens and things like that you can get in. Have y'all seen a dramatic drop in business from that? I'll give you my perspective before you say anything. And that is that I personally don't like to do anything that way. And the reason I don't, and I'm sure I have listeners with a similar feeling, is I want to see something, touch it. I want to bounce it off somebody that's human. And a lot of times you can't get that online. So it's like buying a pair of jeans online. Maybe they fit, maybe they don't. If your waist size is 30-30, not that mine is, but if yours is, you can't necessarily order a 30-30 jean online, get it in, and it look good. You got to go to the store. You got to try it on.
Sure.
And so I feel the same way about promotional materials. I know you guys have a lot of samples there. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of things that you can see. And so that to me is another very important aspect of SportNCenter's business.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
When we come back, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, he's going to answer the question about how online, how the online marketplace has changed his business just a little bit. We'll be right back.
Thank you. All right, James, we're back with you, and we were talking about online companies that do not have a brick and mortar location. So my question to you is, has that had any effect on your business as a brick and mortar store?
It's going to have effect on the economy regardless. Brick and mortar is going to have effects on, companies that are chains, companies that are nationwide. But the thing about it is, it's just like anything else where it's just not necessarily a disruption, but it could be more like a way for us to sharpen our sales tools. You know, to a lot of people, buying local is important.
Sure.
And to a lot of people, supporting local business is what keeps a local economy running. But without the easy buy local, shop local deal, I'll tell you the biggest difference is there's a lot of people out there who, just like you were mentioned about, they don't necessarily feel that they need to touch something or see it or see how it fits before they purchase it. Same thing applies in the promotional goods business, in the fact that they know they just want pens and they're just going to go get pens. And that's the kind of client that, granted, I'll take any sale that I can get, but that's not necessarily the kind of client that I enjoy working with, because I enjoy sitting and talking with someone. I enjoy sitting and learning more about them, learning more about their business, and helping them as opposed to just fulfilling an order. You know, there's a lot of, I say a lot of times also, people want a back to pat or a neck to grab as well.
Right.
And there's a lot of truth to that, and that can be a double-edged sword as far as my business goes. But I like to think that I'm getting more of the pat on the back than I am the hand to the neck, which has happened before, because I'm not perfect, nor is anybody at our store. But people in general like dealing with people. They don't like just clicking a couple of things on a website and sending the order on through, because after all, you're really dealing with a custom business. It's not really plug and play. So to answer your question in a short way, internet commerce is going to affect everybody's business, period. Now, is it going to be the downfall of everyone's business? If you look at it as a downfall, then yes, it will be. It's pretty much how you want to approach it. You force companies to change, but everything changes. Change isn't always necessarily a negative thing either.
Right. And on that note, so do y'all offer an online marketplace where you can get things like, say you're a Denham Springs High football fan and you want to get a shirt that has that Denham Springs High logo, the yellow jacket, and you live out of state? Is there a way to just go online and order that?
Now, we do offer online stores, but it's not as umbrella as just everything we've got in our store, because it's really almost hard to do something like that because we have so many SKUs and so many different items. But we do offer, as I was saying, online stores specific to groups. Prime example, we had Denham Springs High School baseball parents. They wanted an online store where we could put some items on there that were specific to Denham Springs baseball, that were specific to their kids, and the store went over like gangbusters. It blew my mind, the amount of stuff that we sold to people right here in the city that they bought online. And they very well could have just walked in the store and designed something they want and purchased, which we have plenty of as well. But they were ready and willing to log on to a website, click what they wanted, and purchase it. And then they came to the store and picked it up, and we notified them that it was ready. So there is an element where a lot of people, they want to do their shopping.
Yeah, they definitely do.
From their phone or from their laptop. And it's not necessarily just looking for the greatest price. It may be a matter of maybe they just don't have the time. Maybe convenience is a factor where they can do that. They can pull up a laptop while they're cooking dinner or while they're monitoring little Billy doing his homework and get that done. And then it's not let me go here and make the whole purchase. It's just let me go pick it up.
Exactly, and you know, it's also a situation, James. Speaking, I know you can speak from this experience, as can I. When you have a lot of kids and life happens, you're doing things after 5 o'clock that have nothing to do with, you know, your regular everyday life. You're running kids around to band or to soccer games or baseball games or you name it. It might be 11 o'clock at night before you remember, I need to order that band shirt.
That's right.
And so I hope everybody was paying attention when he just said what he offered there. Get in touch with SportNCenter if you're an organization that wants a specific manner of commerce that you can do online where you can make it easy for those supporters to go on, because they can set that up and they can make that happen. That's probably something that you can't do with a whole lot of people, and a separator for SportNCenter.
It's very specific, and it's not only just for fan type apparel as well. Like James Macias, his daughter, has a nonprofit called No Worries, Just Birdies. And there's multiple times a year.
Great nonprofit.
Absolutely. That girl is doing amazing things.
Yeah.
For her age and for what she's contributing to this local area as far as athletics and as far as for the game of golf is just unbelievable. But they'll come to me and we'll set up a store around a certain function. Like they had the Live Oak Alumni basketball tournament a few weekends back. Well, we put together a store where it sold some commemorative items around the tournament, and people were able to buy from out of state. People were able to buy at 11:30 at night. People were able to buy, and it contributed towards their overall organization, and that's a great thing. It's not just specific to sports either, or even alumni tournaments. It can be just about anything. I've got schools where we offer their school uniforms. It's a private school in Baton Rouge, and they go online and order. I've got businesses that have multiple locations through the Gulf South that have websites set up to where anybody and everybody can order the stuff that they need at any given point in time. It really is a convenience factor more than anything.
Gotcha. And I'm digging for some examples to show all you good people of some interesting items that are promotional that I brought along with me. One of them is, and I just got this today. I actually went to a presentation for a very good customer of mine, very good friend of mine, but it's Wanda Affordable Construction. I believe y'all did these.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know how this is going to show up on camera, but this is a really cool little swag gift. Yep. Guess what? Nobody is throwing this away. You hear me?
No.
Nobody ever. Why? Because it's not only a pen. Isn't that great? You can write. But, and of course, I'm going to struggle with it now, but it's a flashlight. So it's got that on there. And then you can take the top off, and this actually has an Allen wrench set inside of it.
Yeah,
and I wrote with it, and it writes great.
Sure.
Sure. This is a neat little item, but this is a good example in the construction industry of things you can do that customers will have. They're not going to toss in the garbage, and it's got your name all over it. Guess what? I personally read pens everywhere I go. When I pick up a pen, I mean, you got that 30 seconds, you're just sitting around doing nothing. You look down and there's a name, and that is the physical version of an impression on a website. Absolutely. To me. Every time you read that, that's an impression. Absolutely. So very interesting little item there. To give you another example, so my wife went to an event that a local dentist hosted. This is Advanced Dental Care right there on Range, but she came back and she had this. This is Dr. Don, as I call him, Dr. Donald St. Angelo, and it's just a bag. It's got, I'm not going to open it up, but it's got like neat little stuff in here, chapstick and all that kind of thing. Yeah. But here's the point. Here's the point to promotional advertising. This has been sitting on my wife's dresser for like 3 weeks now. So every morning I get up, getting dressed and all those sorts of things, and I see it propped there, and it's got his name all over it. It's a neat little bag that after you use everything inside, you can still use the bag.
Right, reuse the bag.
This ain't going in the trash, people. This might be around, I bet you in 10 years this is sitting on her dresser. I wouldn't doubt it with my wife. Yeah, so she loves these things. My wife personally, if I get a bag, be it a book bag or even like the little terry cloth bags that they have, all those sorts of things, she will never throw those away. I've literally got a bag with like 100 bags in it that she's got. But those are key little items for that. So I also did some more research online, and I found this very interesting. But it was like the top 20 by percentage of promotional products and sales. So what do you think the number one product in the country was last year promotionally? And when I ask you this, don't think outside the box. This is probably something that you would expect. But what would you say?
Are you saying cost-wise or quantity-wise?
Just popularity. Ordered more than anything else in quantity.
Man, I would definitely think it has something to do with a cell phone. Am I right?
Nope.
Wow, not technology.
It's going to be such of course it is.
A koozie.
What do I buy more than anything else from SportScenter?
T-shirts.
T-shirts were the most ordered item promotionally, and that's why I said don't think outside the box, because there's niche items. So there's items that are niches for that year, like the spinners and things like that, and then there's items that over time are just classics. So I'm going to show you an example here that SportNCenter did for me, and this is of course the official Chapman's Pink Place Podcast T-shirt. It is beautiful. Now, James Adam McCants, I actually had a logo. This is my official logo. And then James said, no, that's going to look horrible on a T-shirt, and insulted me for about 5 minutes. Not really, but we did change it because printing-wise, it would not be a good choice, especially if you're stitching, because there's a lot of stitches, a lot involved in that. So he came out with a kind of a different version of it, but I love that version, and it's just my personality. You know, I like to stand out. My T-shirts like to stand out.
Nothing but the best.
But here's my point on this. Guess what? T-shirts, I don't care what it says on it. Nobody throws a T-shirt away.
That's right.
Unless it's just ragged and torn. And I can tell you, being in the paint manufacturing business, Farrell Calhoun Paint, I'm sure other paint companies I'm not going to name, but Farrell Calhoun Paint buy more T-shirts than anything else. Now, the painting industry is specific in that painters get paint on their T-shirts all the time. They get ruined. They get old really quick. We buy 6 figures in T-shirts a year, and well into the 6 figures. And painters use them all the time. I go to not Walmart. I go to Carter's or something like that. But I go to a local grocery store, and I will see people with those shirts on. When I have them on, because I'll wear them on the weekend, I'll have a Farrell Calhoun shirt on or primarily, and I'll go into Carter's or something like that. People will stop me and say, I got the paint on my house. Sure. So that's how good of an advertising vehicle that is. To tell you, the owner of Farrell Calhoun Paint is there. You know, people's heard me say it before. They can be very frugal. They don't hesitate to spend money on T-shirts because they see the value in that advertising. And I'm sure y'all do tons and tons of T-shirts. Absolutely. I know I'm probably your biggest customer on T-shirts.
You've definitely given me my largest order for T-shirts. Absolutely.
No doubt about it.
I've discussed that at a presentation a few months ago. It's funny that you say that. It's funny that is true, that it's the most popular
58%. 58% of people that buy promotional products buy T-shirts.
It's believed that the T-shirt is the original promotional product. That was the first promotional product that ever really existed. And you know who used it?
Who?
The Navy, the United States Navy.
Learn it all.
That's right.
On Chapman's Paint Place Podcast.
There's no limit to the education you guys receive here.
So tell me this story.
So a T-shirt was a ration, or like GI, were given to you by the Navy as underwear. They were having some major issues as far as promoting and enlisting and recruiting. And they couldn't figure out, they really didn't have much of a budget, so they didn't want to go buy these sandwich boards and couldn't pay a whole bunch of people to go out and this is way back in the day. So this guy had an idea and said, why don't we get some paint or some type of ink and put Navy on all of the issued T-shirts that we give out. So that way, instead of just wearing them as underwear, we can stick a guy or two for some type of duty outside of a recruiting station. We can encourage people to wear them around town and use it to promote the Navy. And boom, that's where it came from.
You will never hear that story on any other podcast told quite that way. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And this can be used as underwear, apparently. So that's pretty cool. I love that story.
Well, under a shirt can be underwear. It doesn't have to be.
Well, I mean,
we're not going to delve into that.
Yeah, we don't want to know where my mind goes, James, after the paint business closes there at 5 o'clock. But anyway, so we're going to move on. So the second most popular promotional item is drinkware. Probably no surprise there, just like this. Chapman's Paint Place podcast.
That's right.
Branded drinkware. So y'all are going to have the capability pretty soon of being able to engrave on drinkware.
Absolutely. We've recently purchased a laser engraver. We're waiting for it to be delivered right now. Actually, I'm hoping sometime within the next week or so. And it'll open up the opportunities of things that we can embellish other than just ink or stitch or even decals. Because, we do print decals that go on things, but laser engraving is going to be
like that.
That's right, baby. Laser engraving is going to open up a lot of doors as far as items that we've not been able to embellish in-house before that we will be able to from here out.
That's interesting. And just to round out that list for those that are curious, you got outerwear behind that, so jackets, things of that nature, writing instruments, pens were right behind that in fourth place, bags being the fifth place item. No surprise there. USB drives right after that. Now that's
it's amazing that technology is still that far down the list, though. I really would think that it'd be a little higher on the list, but hey, it just goes to show you the classics never die.
The classics never die. T-shirts, to me, you cannot have a better form of advertising. USB drives follows behind that, and then caps, headwear, desk accessories behind that, polo shirts, then health and safety items. So just a note on that, I went to the Livingston Parish Chamber of Commerce's golf tournament the last one we had, and they gave out, one of the companies, might have been Stewart Medical, gave out these neat little, they were like almost like the size of credit cards, but on the inside were like 4 or 5 Band-Aids. And of course, you ain't throwing that away. You don't throw away Band-Aids. You crazy? So I put that right there in the shaving kit. And I still have like one Band-Aid left because I think I've cut my head like 4 times shaving. But you know how that goes.
Indeed.
So I still have like one Band-Aid left. But the point of the matter is, every time I open that thing up, what I see? Stewart Family Medical.
That's right.
So health and safety, that definitely one of them items. Calendars, performance wear, then power banks. That's one that's not necessarily the cheapest promotional item, most likely, but definitely something you ain't chunking.
That's right.
Umbrellas. Filling out the list. Surprise umbrellas aren't a little bit higher. That's something that I think is a promotional item that everybody should have, because if you get an umbrella, it's going in your car. Now, it might be going under the seat. Maybe you're not singing that name, but when it's raining, you pull it out. Guess what? Everybody sees it at that point.
That's right.
It's on the outside. We used to do golf umbrellas. I don't know whatever happened with that, but I need to find out.
Maybe we should talk about that.
Maybe we should
write together a PO.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Beg for forgiveness, not permission.
That's right.
I didn't say that. So that's really interesting, and I wanted to give everybody a list of some ideas of promotional items that nationally are pretty popular, and they work. T-shirts, of course. I'm going to say it again, my personal favorite. And something that if you look around town, make it a point one day to just look at how many T-shirts people have on that have a business name on the back. I bet there's more of that than like polo shirts or something. Sure. Just regular polo shirts. So I think that's a huge thing. Now, I also wanted to ask you something. This is going to seem a little off topic, but I'm curious about this, and I'll tell you why after I ask. Is Bigfoot real?
Is Bigfoot real?
Yes. Is Bigfoot real?
Well,
what are your thoughts?
Nobody's seen him, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's not real. Now, That's a tricky question.
Well, I'm going to tell you why I asked.
I appreciate hearing that.
So why I ask is, my son, okay, he used to love this show when he was younger, and it was called Finding Bigfoot. I don't know if you ever saw that. They had a character on there. His name was Bobo, and he was this big 6'4" guy, and kind of looked like Bigfoot in a way, but he was one of these bigger than life characters, and he's a real person, you know. And this dude, along with like 3 other dudes, would go all over the country trying to find Bigfoot. Okay, and
Squatching, if you will.
Yes, and they would wear hats, and the hat said, "Let's get squatchy." And look, my son loved this show. So the other night, I'm a YouTube junkie. For anybody that knows me, I don't watch regular TV almost ever. I typically watch. I watch a lot of documentaries. I love knowledge and learning new things. And I pull up YouTube, and just so happened on my feed, it has like an episode of it. So I put it on, and I was aggravating my son about it basically, and I'm like, let's watch Finding Bigfoot. And he's like, I don't watch that no more. I said, well, you used to watch it all the time. You loved it. And he said, yeah, I used to wear diapers too. And I'm like, whatever. So
told you.
I bring my kids, So I bring my kids to school every morning. And so fast forward to the next morning, I get in the car, I put my phone up on its little stand, and I put it on, and I turned it up full blast, and I made him and my 2 daughters watch it all the way to school. And my daughters now liked it, and he was just laughing the whole time because, I mean, literally, these are guys that really chase like Bigfoot. Sure. And it's funny because they make like they do something, it's like a call. And so they'll sit there and they're like, okay, everybody be quiet, and they'll go, or whatever. I can't do the call, unfortunately. But they will do that, and then you'll hear like their echo of them doing it, and they'll be like, he's responding back. He's somewhere in the woods or whatever. It's like, it's bizarre, man. I'm telling you. Now, the whole point of that story is even they do promotional type things with the Let's Get Squatchy, because that was a very popular item that they would sell on this, I guess it was A&E or whatever that did it. Speaking of documentaries, and I know, McHugh, that I sent you the link to this, and I sent it to James as well, but Amazon, okay, which anybody that knows me knows that I'm a big small business guy and buy from not even necessarily small business as much as family owned. I don't care if you're a $100 million company, but be family owned, I feel like I'm doing something when I support people like that. Sure. And I feel like it's very important to our economy. And so, I wasn't a huge Amazon freak. And look, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth because I'm like everybody else. I prime a lot out of convenience, especially when you have kids and you just don't have time to go shopping a lot of times. But all of that being said, I watched a documentary and it's a PBS documentary group called Frontline. They do some amazing, I can't tell you how amazing documentaries. So they did one on Amazon. I'm just throwing this out there. Anybody that's listening, go watch it. Go to YouTube. It's free. Punch in Frontline Amazon documentary. Mm-hmm. Wow. That's all I can say. It will open your eyes, and it's not negative one way or the other. It is news. It's like the Livingston Parish News. They're going to give you facts and real news instead of fake news. And so that's what it basically is. It's reporting just facts as they're told to the document. Is it documenter? I don't know what you call
documenter.
Documenter. Thank you. I threw an extra syllable in there. So anyway, I would highly recommend you watch that, because the reason you're going to find me on here talking to people like SportNCenter is I love companies like this because they have a history, which means that they're good at what they do and they're honest people. But it also means that they're usually family-owned, smaller companies, and I really, really enjoy doing everything I can to let people know about those companies. So thank you very much for joining me today. So how can they get in touch with Sport & Center? I mean, the websites, where you're located, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. We've got a website, sportandcenter.net. Of course, we've got a social media presence on Facebook as well as Insta. And we dabble a little bit in Pinterest. This is not something that we have really hit on all cylinders with just yet, but I would like to enhance that in the near future. We're located at 205 South Range Avenue, which is right here in Denham Springs. If you're coming through the Antique District on that one way, we're the last street to the right before you hit Florida Boulevard, which is at the corner of Florida Boulevard and Range Avenue and Sullivan Street. Our phone number is 225-664-7386. We're open Monday to Friday, 9 to 6. On Saturdays, 9 to 2 o'clock. And we can pretty much be reached any time of day through Facebook chat.
Okay, and shout out your employees real quick. I know you got Deanne over there.
Deanne, my sister-in-law. Of course, Stacy, my father-in-law. We've got Tiffany, who basically is the glue that holds all us crazy ones together. We've got...
Trusted it. Yes, she is.
We've got Renee in the front, Renee in the back. We got Renee in the front that does retail.
Renee is awesome.
Yes,
love her.
Miss Robin, Sean. We've got Cricket. We've got, let's see, Jesus. We trust in Jesus.
Yep.
We've got Ken in the back, Miss Susan, Miss Darlene in the very back. Like I already mentioned, Renee in the back. We've got Gabby and Linda. Let's see, who am I missing here? I know I'm missing somebody. Katie Lynn. We've got Bree. Then, of course, we got Miss Lawana on the road, and there's some really ugly bald guy that works there. It's me. I knew I was missing somebody. I had to count one in my head.
I was going to say you, but you said it for me.
I hope I didn't miss anybody, but I don't think I did.
Awesome. And is there any particular thing that you have in the store right now that you want to push, or now's the time?
Well, with the seasons changing, we're encouraging everybody to come in and check out new T-shirts. We've got a new line of tank tops. Of course, you're going to be outside, bald-headed gentlemen like us, or anybody who's looking to, cut down some of the effects of the sun. We've got some new hats coming in. And of course, this time of year is great for not only events like crawfish boils and company picnics and church picnics, but also we do a lot of things for trade shows. Like I was talking with Q earlier about, anytime that you may have a trade show coming up, man, I'd be more than happy to help you design anything from a banner like this that would be in the back, or maybe even a multitude of them, a backdrop, printed tablecloths. We do everything. I love to actually design an entire trade show booth, and we can offer everything in there, from not only the aesthetic things that you see, but also the promotional items that you're going to give out.
And I love it how he shows his sales skills. So he says a banner like this, or maybe even a multitude.
Just throwing that out there.
I love it. Okay, so thank you very much again for joining me today, and it was fun learning about Sports Center, learning a little bit more about you. By the way, one thing you mentioned it, but he's a really good guitarist, folks. So, just an amazing guitarist, and so I just want to throw that out there because I think that's awesome. Hashtags. So you want to know how you can win these tickets to the River Bash Heed My Warning tour with the good folks over there at Real Life Real Crime? Well, this is what you need to do. You need to put in the comments section hashtag RLRC winner. That's the way I'm going to search it. That's the way I'm going to find who I put in that drawing, and make sure you share it. You have to share the actual podcast that we're doing, and you have to hashtag it RLRC winner. One person will win 2 tickets, VIP. You get a VIP meet and greet with Woody Overton and the good folks at Real Life Real Crime, and you get to attend the concert with the Chase Tyler Band. Look for us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Like, follow, subscribe, and listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, among many others. Just search Chapman's Paint Place Podcast. Thank you, McHugh, David, and the Livingston Parish News team for the use of their state-of-the-art booth. I am Jim Chapman of Chapman's Paint Place Podcast, reminding you that not only does Farrell Calhoun make the best paint money can buy for over 115 years, but rumor is using it can cure coronavirus.
I heard that.
I mean, that's a no-brainer. Call me anytime you need paint for your project. Until next time, peace, love, and paint.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.